Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Good evening, everyone. Good night. You didn't get paid, Autumn? That's not good. I'm gonna have to contact Soros about that one. That's not good. Yeah, we got to fix that one, Autumn. Hopefully, everybody else got paid by Soros. Yeah, we'll get that fixed for you. Don't worry. Everybody else, hope you're all having a good night. If you guys can keep tapping and sharing, that would be great. I know a lot of my followers don't like it when I do this live. I get it. You guys prefer I talk more directly about politics as opposed to indirect things, but I enjoy this topic, and a certain group of people enjoy it that don't maybe watch my other lives, so I gotta do it here and there. I'm sorry for the people that don't like these lives. But as I said before I went live, that I may switch on over to a more politically oriented live if I'm live for a while and I feel like doing so. But anyways, let's get to this guest over here, okay? Hello.
How's it going?
Hold on, I gotta fix my audio. This happens every single time. Give me 1 second.
Oh, sure. I mean, enjoy the audio through those
Alright.
AirPods.
Alright, I hear you. You there?
Yeah, totally.
Alright, hey, I just need to know your age, please, before we move forward.
34.
Cool. Alright, man.
How about yourself?
33. We're basically the same
Oh,
age.
yeah, right there,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, man. Cool shit. Do you disagree with the background prompt?
Oh, no, I don't disagree with the background prompt. I do think that the background prompt is kind of detrimental to the progress because we do have some things that are done out of the Trump administration that are positive when it comes to like red dye 40, bromated vegetable oils. A few of the ones that are bad have been addressed, which the Democrats just hadn't done for the longest time. So that's really all I have to say. It's not that overall I think it's a net positive to what the Trump administration is doing. I don't think that at all. Actually, I voted for Kamala.
Okay.
I think that it's just I think it doesn't help us when we throw out everything gets generalized in one pocket. Does that make sense?
No, I see what you're saying, and listen, I think what you mentioned the red dye 40. Do I think that's a beneficial thing? Sure. Do I think it's a significantly beneficial thing? Do I think it's going to move the notch in any direction of Americans' health overall? Probably not. No. Do I
Right.
think that's the main thing that's causing health issues? No. It just, the issue with him is that he is very anti-science when it comes to a lot of different topics, and we may agree on that. I hope at least he's very
No, we do.
anti-vax.
Vaccines,
Okay,
nightmare. We got measles going on. That's
sure.
crazy.
He's anti-vax, to whatever degree that he is. He's very pro raw milk. Um, uh, and I think all those things in general completely outweigh the smallest needle shift that you would get from banning red dye 40 or something like that. You know what I mean? Um,
I agree. I think that the problem with this though is that it builds like a tribalism that the Democrats are somehow working not towards this. When I don't view the Democrats as moving the bar at all. So if anything, again, this has been still a net negative because of the stance on vaccines, because of everything that's there to be said.
hmm,
But I think that a large demographic wants to see things change.
yeah.
And so, it's tough when you got the Democrats in charge that don't do anything.
Well, listen, I think, and listen, I have a lot of criticisms of Democrats. I'm not one of those nut huggers of the by means, but
Sure, yeah.
I think, and Democrats don't push for this enough. having universal healthcare would make a significant difference with people's health, right? It's not a coincidence that the other countries that have some form of universal healthcare also have better health outcomes, right? I don't think that's a coincidence. So I do think, and again, Democrats don't push for that enough. They tend to push for that more than Republicans do. I think if we had that, that would absolutely make a big difference in our overall health.
Oh, sure. Yes, I think I was with you to like the second to last sentence when you're like Democrats push for more. We did have that a bit with Michelle Obama and with the schools in particular, which I think was great when it was happening. We
The
shouldn't
the
have.
the, the lunch, the school food, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, big fan of that. We shouldn't have Papa John's in our elementary schools.
Sure.
It's crazy that that's a controversial statement. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
What I was saying, that again, I have a lot of issues with Democrats, but if you are going to compare Democrats versus Republicans in terms of how much they push for universal healthcare or at least more accessible or affordable healthcare, you tend to see that more Democrats, but I still don't see them doing nearly enough, even remotely enough, really. I think they should talk about it more, really, because those are topics that people would want to vote for. People want to vote for things that directly affect them, right? People want to vote for things like healthcare directly affects you. Things like that. People care about the money that they have or the money that they don't have as well. And I think Democrats need to go back to that of just talking about the topics that really affect your average everyday person if they want to win.
then we get to the problem: is it even beneficial for the Democrats to win when their bosses own both the parties? So you may as well have a lame duck party and then a party that's actively just giving you tax cuts. Like
Yeah. Yeah. No, again, I think Democrats, yeah, not nearly enough of them do any form of progression that I would like to see. A lot of times it's just a status quo, you know.
yeah,
So I think there's a few people within the Democratic Party that are decent. I like AOC.
absolutely,
I like AOC. I
yeah.
like Bernie Sanders. I like the ideas that I have. I
Well,
like the
Bernie Sanders
passion
is
that they
not a
have.
Democrat.
Well, yeah, he's okay and independent. Well,
He's an independent. Yeah, he ran for a Democrat in the presidential
okay,
race because
sure,
he
sure,
have
sure,
to.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, regardless, you get my point. I think people like that, and it doesn't have to be them specifically, but people that have that passion that you can tell truly care about what they're talking about and aren't just saying things just to say things, right?
Right.
Like I think we need more people like that, more politicians like that. Personally,
I totally agree. So we're the same age. I mean, virtually. Uh,
basically, yeah.
what is preventing you from running?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that I don't know. It's not something I personally have an interest in. I,
I mean, you're in shape. You're well spoken. You're rocking a blue buffalo plaid. You got the Americana going on. You know.
maybe, man, but I think, yeah, I don't know. To be honest, it's never really crossed my mind. Yeah, so I don't know. It's a good question, though, really.
Uh, d- do you mind if I hijack some ideas?
What do you got?
What do you think about a fitness incentive tax credit? So if you're underneath 30% body fat for women or 22% body fat for men,
Mhm.
you had $1,000 tax incentive come from the government.
I think you have good intentions with that. I think the issue is that there is a big genetic component, unfortunately, to obesity and weight loss, weight gain, etc. And I think, unfortunately, that is going to probably favor people in the upper middle class and the upper class who have more tools, more advantages, more things at their disposal to lower their body fat percentage. And so I think that's just going to be yet another thing that favors more so the upper class. Again, I
Sure.
like the intentions. I like the
No, no.
intentions, but there may be a way to reformulate that so it's more biased towards, I guess, the middle and lower
Would
class.
you would you want a higher payout if you were poor?
Well, yeah, of course. But what
Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
is,
Sure, sure. No, I like that. Uh, yeah, yeah.
it,
So
but
I had a
go ahead, go ahead.
I also had a provision where if you're in a food desert, for example, a lot of the inner cities, food deserts are something that the government already tracks and has like
Mm.
metrics for. So if you were in a food desert, you would get an additional $250 bonus. You know, Uh,
Oh, okay.
so that
I
that
like
helped out
that.
something.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but that's also largely more applies to cities than it does rural areas.
Yeah,
Like some
yeah.
of the cities, you could be in a food desert and still would be within 30 minutes of a grocery store. But if
Hmm.
you're out in the country, you're in
You
the
may
same
be
conditions. It's just
far,
not
very far away.
qualified as
Yeah,
a food desert.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you're
So
saying.
I don't know how I feel about that on it. So I've been thinking about scrapping that part of it. Um,
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's really difficult because yes, you have to take into account about things I just discussed, like the amount that they have at their disposal, right, to be able to do some of these things. It's just unfortunately people who do have more money, they have more access to certain things that people who do, as opposed to those who don't have money. So it's
right. If you're a
hard to implement
multimillionaire,
it.
you should be trimmed. You should look like
Oh, for
the
sure. You have
billionaires.
every
You know,
single thing at your disposal. You can hire the best personal trainer, you can hire the best chef, and et cetera, et
eat
cetera, et
sushi
cetera.
every day. Yeah.
Which sounds great. Um, so yeah, those are one of it's something, unfortunately, yeah, you have to take into consideration. So
So I'm running
I
for
think there
office.
needs. I think one quick thing. I think there just needs to be also better education surrounding some of these things. I don't think there's nearly as much as good quality education surrounding health and fitness as there could be. There's a lot of misinformation out there, as you see on social media. So I think having better education out there surrounding these things would be more beneficial as well downstream, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's supplements are not being regulated to the same degree that drugs are. So now we
oh
have this
God, not at
runaway
all. Yeah.
industry that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm back at home. I love my parents very much, but my mom's taking MCT coconut oil in her
Yeah.
coffee
Yeah. Yeah.
and taking oil of oregano.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, mom, this MCT oil from the coconut, it's 120 calories per tablespoon.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not you're not saving anything here,
Sure.
and I don't even get me started on weird oils of plants. Like what are we doing here, folks?
Yeah, yeah, I no, you're right. I think there's, because I'm sure she probably watches content that convinces her that, oh, putting this oil in your whatever is gonna fix this or do this or do that, and I think they're missing context when when that information is being pushed, right? But yeah, adding an extra 120 calories, it's probably not the best thing for your average citizen.
Right. Yeah, it sneaks up on you quick. Uh,
What were you
so
saying about running though? You said you're running for office. Did I hear you correctly?
yeah, Wisconsin. I'm running for office in the fourth district of Wisconsin
Okay.
for the federal spot. Uh,
Okay.
at asherforcongress.com. You can see all my policies there. They're fun. Uh, I think the most important issue would be to limit funding for campaigns to humans,
Hmm.
right? Not organizations or corporations, and they should be capped, right? Because right now you have APAC, you have
Yeah. Oh
everyone
yeah.
just giving away bukus of money. Like it's tough
Yep.
because I have my Democrat has not had someone run against her since 2018, right?
Okay.
But then you look at her donations from last year; she has $600,000
Yeah.
from all over the place: APAC, big pharma, insurance, and how am I supposed to compete with that when I have $1,000 and she has that kind of money?
Well, yeah, yeah.
It's nuts,
It gives them it gives her a huge advantage. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
When we're supposed to expect them to not try to give that money back, to give those favors back. Yeah,
What prompted you to want to run?
I I em- I feel like I emailed a bunch of times about issues that I had, like Clarence Thomas in the Supreme Court, healthcare bills,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just general healthcare stuff. I had a weigh-in for my son that was $200,
Okay.
and I was like, oh my god, how could this thing cost $200? It's nothing, it just didn't. None of it mattered.
Yeah. Look at that. Apparently,
Yeah,
I
so
look like a stereotypical beta, according to this guy in the comments.
yeah, I don't know what's up with this guy.
People
Yeah,
are on the internet. No, but cool.
yeah.
I gave you a follow, man. I appreciate the conversation. It always kind of gets me a little weary when somebody comes up and puts their camera on right away. I'm always very hesitant, to be honest.
Oh, oh, sure. Yeah, I don't want
Don't
to.
take it personally. I've had people come up and show things that they shouldn't be showing on the internet with their
Sure.
camera on. So I'm always a little bit weary, but this actually ended up being pretty nice.
Sure. Yeah. Well, all right, man. I'll hop out of here.
Yeah, man,
Thank you for the discussion. And
for sure.
also, Buffalo. Like, do you know that your shirt's Buffalo plaid? Are you familiar with that?
I know it's a plaid. I don't know what buffalo plaid is. I just know it's a plaid shirt.
Oh, okay. So you know how you have like tartans that are like the Irish things,
Yeah.
Scotland things. So those are a lot of patterns are going on. Buffalo plaid is a uniquely like American Canadian thing where
Okay,
there's no pattern. It's just like the blocks.
I
So
see.
like
Okay.
your shirt in like red or in green are also very popular,
Hmm.
and you just have a distinctly more American thing on
Okay.
than a lot of the other
Well, that
ones. So
tracks. Well, that tracks. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool.
All right, man.
Uh,
Well, hey, Asher,
all right, man.
I really appreciate. Like I said, I gave you a follow, so uh, it'd be nice to talk again at some point. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one, man. Have a good
All right,
night.
man. Take care. Bye. That was a refreshingly nice conversation, which, as you guys know, we don't typically have a whole lot here. What is up to those in the tube? Yes, this loser again is live streaming. Sorry to break it to you, Sonic. If you don't like me, don't watch me. Um, yeah, so I look like a stereotypical beta while you are completely bald, and you look like you're about 15 to 20 years above your actual age, so you might want to work on that one, man. Anyways, if you guys disagree with the background, you are more than welcome to come on up. Just make sure you keep tapping and sharing. I look like my community guy, exactly. If you make sure you guys keep tapping and sharing if you are enjoying the live. I know this live tends to be a little bit of a slower and low key live as opposed to the other one. So I know some people like that as opposed to the lives that are a bit more busy. But yes, I do have the gift goal. I made it 500 of my own personal gift that apparently I have now. So there is that. But if you do disagree with the background, you're welcome to come on up. I don't know what's with the viewer. This topic doesn't traditionally get a lot of people, but it's odd that it's this low. I may do a restart, but I'll keep it going for a little bit until then. However, if you're watching on the tube, you can call in. I'm going to give you the phone number, so you can call in. Give me just one moment. Artificial sweeteners are bad. Yeah, Earl, come on up. We can talk about it. I do disagree. I think that is there's a lot of misinformation that unfortunately has been spread on social media, and it's easy to convince people that artificial sweeteners are bad because in the very name it has the word artificial, which people associate with being bad. So it's really not that difficult to convince people that artificial sweeteners are bad, despite all of the literature showing otherwise. Um, Especially when we compare it to sugar, because that is the viable alternative, which people typically replace it with. Hands down, artificial sweeteners, at least your traditional ones, aspartame, sucralose, uh, significantly better for you than sugar, dose for dose, significantly. Like it's not even close. All right, let me put the number in the tube so you can call in, guys, if you wanted to. 813 603 878. Okay, there it is. Um, but yeah, artificial sweeteners. Well, I don't really like the taste of most of them, and most foods, I guess. I mean, there may be some foods they're okay in, but I don't particularly like the taste. If you're talking about like a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero or any of those types of sodas, I don't like. I just prefer the sugar version, taste wise. But we're not talking about taste here, guys. We're talking about health. But yeah, there's really no evidence to show that artificial sweeteners are um, this incredibly harmful thing, like some people like to make them out to being. Now, I think just for I don't know how to say it, I don't want to say marketing purposes, but I think it's probably better to call them non-nutritive sweeteners. Number one, there's going to be more of a positive connotation associated with it when you take out the word artificial. Again, unfortunately, people fall victim to the natural fallacy. They hear the word artificial, they think, oh my God, that must be bad because it's artificial, even though that's not how things work. So I think if you change it to non-nutritive sweetener, it's going to have a more positive connotation associated with it, and people would be less apt to just automatically thinking that they're bad. But hey, just a thought. If you hate America, you must not live in America. Unfortunately for you, that's incorrect. Danian. So a couple things I got to say to that. Number one, I don't think you understand what satire is, considering that whole intro is satirical, like painfully, obviously satirical. The fact that you couldn't pick up on that is incredibly fucking concerning. Secondly, it's actually a very American thing to do to be able to criticize your own country, right? I think that's I think if you live in a country in which you can't criticize your own country, that's probably not the best country to be living in. Again, if you guys disagree with the background, come on up, please. All right, let me bring this guest up. This one's not loading for some reason. It is rage bait. It is rage bait, absolutely. But the one caveat to it is I actually do hold these beliefs. Traditionally, when we're talking about rage bait, you're putting something out there that you don't actually believe. Yes, I am aware that there are people that emotionally get a react to this type of topic because they see it. Yes, so in some sense it's rage bait. However, though, I still hold these views. I am not a communist. I am not a communist, no. I was in the military, though, for 4 years, so I don't think you can say I hate America that much, considering I goddamn was in the military. But yeah, I do have criticisms of our country, and I think that's a very good thing to be able to criticize your own country without having repercussions associated with it. I think this idea that America is the best country is just simply not true. I don't think there's anything to back that up at all. I understand people in America want to believe that. We in America want to believe that, right? Who wants to believe otherwise, that you live in not the best country, right? And I understand that whole patriotism and propaganda that's been pushed out for decades and decades and decades, that America's the best, blah, 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 blah. But by which metric are we the best? Name me a metric that we are the best at. If you look at education, we're not even remotely at the top when it comes to education. If we compare ourselves to other developed countries, if you look at lifespan, no. If you look at like access to healthcare or how much we pay per citizen for healthcare, no. If you look at houselessness rates, no. There's even measurements of happiness, no. Gosh, what else? I mean, just about every literacy that goes along with education. Literacy, no, we're not at the top. The amount of people that are in poverty, no. I mean, or if you look at the disparity between the upper and lower class, no. What metric are we the best in? Like, for real, really. School pews, that's, yes, unfortunately you're correct. That's one thing we're good at. We're at the top of the list there. No, but seriously, for real, like I don't understand the pushback from certain groups of people when I do state those things. Objectively, I'm right. I mean, the metrics are the metrics. We're good at healthcare? Not compared to other developed countries. I mean, if you're going to compare us to some random, incredibly underdeveloped country, yeah, sure. But I think it's probably best to compare us to other developed countries. And no, we're not. We pay the most per citizen. Last time I checked, and I think it's a little bit higher now, it was $12,500 per citizen that we pay in America. And I'm almost positive it's higher now because that was a couple years ago. 12,500 per citizen. You want to know what other countries pay far less? Many of the countries in Europe, they pay far less per citizen. And guess what? They have much better health outcomes. Much better. Subjectively, we're the best. I mean, if you want to use the word subjectively, sure, I guess, if that's what you want to use. But I can't argue with your subjective viewpoint. Thinking that can change is naive. The whole system is set up this way. They love it. Oh, okay, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think, yes, if you want a complete overhaul, yeah, you're gonna have to just overhaul the entire. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to change the entire system. But I don't want to fall into to let good become the enemy of perfect, right? And I think a lot of people unfortunately fall into that mindset of letting good become the enemy of perfect. Uh, I think there are changes we can make in our system. Are they perfect? No. Is it exactly what I want? No. But I still think any change is good change. Yeah, leftists. I know. I don't know. TikTok, I guess, did that with some of the creators, I suppose. Guys, if you can keep tapping, please, I'd appreciate it. Again, I know this live doesn't typically get a lot of people, but if you guys can at least help out and tap, that way we can get enough people to at least have some guest flowing. With this type of live, if we can just hover around 100 viewers at a time, that's fine. That's enough to get a couple guests here and there. Oat milk is bad. Guys, when we say this food or this ingredient or that ingredient is good or bad, what is it that you mean, right? Because I think we need to be very weary of labeling foods as good or bad, right? And I know this is not what you meant, Naomi, but this is how humans interpret it when we say it and when we hear it, that if you say this food is good or this food is bad, you're almost implying some sort of ethics with it, right? Like there's there's no like ethics associated with the food being good or bad, right? And again, I understand that's not what people mean when they say it, but that's how it is interpreted, oftentimes subconsciously, really, when we say this is good or bad. Because when we hear that an Oreo, for example, is bad, right? You consume that Oreo, you would then think, well, gosh, I am bad because I ate a bad thing, right? And to some of you, that's going to sound silly, like, no, that's not, no, but that's how a lot of people think. And if any of you, you worked in an office or this or that or whatever, you'll hear that all the time, right? Somebody brings in donuts and someone's like, ooh, I'm going to be bad today. I'm going to have a donut. You're bad because you ate something that you enjoyed? Why? Why are you bad because you ate something that you enjoyed? And I understand sometimes people say that facetiously, but the words that we say out loud or to ourselves hold meaning, right? If you constantly tell yourself over and over again, I'm a bad person, I'm a shitty person, well, guess what? You are going to feel like a bad and shitty person. Bringing it back to the topic, I think we should stray away from labeling foods as good or bad. I think a better way of labeling foods would be, is this food productive? Is this food more productive or less productive for my goals or for whatever it is I want out of life? Is this food more nutritive or less nutritive? That would be another better way of labeling it, in my opinion. Because you're not a bad person if you eat an Oreo. You absolutely, if you take care of yourself daily in terms of being active, working out, eating a healthy diet and all that, and you consume 2 Oreos a day, you're fine. Right? Like your body isn't going to say, well, gosh, you ate 2 Oreos, but everything else that you did is great, but we're just going to wipe that away with 2 Oreos. No. Right? I think having balance is important. I think there's a small percentage of people that can get away with that all or nothing mindset when it comes to food. But I think your average person would be a lot more successful if they implemented a flexible approach when it came to dieting, right? And I don't even like to use the word dieting. I know I've been using it just because it's so ingrained in our culture, but I think it's best that we don't even use the word dieting, because then again, that also implies some sort of short to medium term thing that's going to have an end point, right? And if you value wanting to be healthy, and things like that, it's not a short or a medium term thing. It's a lifelong thing. So we just are talking about food changes, right? Changes within our food consumption, rather than maybe labeling it as a diet specifically. But small changes do add up, and they do go a long way when it comes to some of these things. I think a lot of people are under the impression that they need to make a huge overhaul with their diet or lifestyle to get the results that they want. And sometimes for some people that may be needed, right? But for your average person, sometimes a very small change over a period of time goes a long way. Like that analogy, I'm sure you guys heard this analogy, that a boat in the water shifting at 1 degree, while it's not much, over miles and miles and miles, that creates a huge difference, right? Now, relating back to this, for example, if you have, I don't know, 3 cans of soda per day, 3 cans of Coke or whatever, and you, let's say not even cut out all 3, you cut out 2 of them. Well, gosh, you just cut out 280 calories. Cutting out 280 calories out of your diet on a daily basis, yeah, that's going to add up over time. That's going to make a huge difference, barring no other changes, of course. And I think it's probably good that when we do make changes with our diet, and when I use the word diet there, I'm referring to what we eat. I'm not using diet in the sense of, like a keto or intermittent. I'm talking about diet in terms of just like the food that we eat. But when we make changes with our diet, gosh, fuck, where was I going with that? Shit. Yeah, I don't think you need to make major changes for many people. I know that I've discussed this before, but again, the soda could be an example of something like that, right? Don't feel like you need to do a complete 180. You can make a small little change here, a small little change here, and yeah, that can make a pretty big difference. When did the fear mongering around soy and estrogen levels start? That's a good question. I can't necessarily pinpoint it to like a specific person or a specific time. It seems like it sort of developed over the last, I don't know, since I'd say about like the 2010s or so, with the rise of the internet and memes and things like that. I think what is it, that soy jack meme or whatever it is? But yeah, it's just, I think it probably developed over since like the 2010s or so. But it's based on pseudoscience, obviously, right? They hear phytoestrogen, which is in soy, which is true. There are phytoestrogens in soy, and then you think, oh gosh, well, phytoestrogen, that sounds awfully like estrogen. Women have estrogen. Therefore, estrogen makes you feminine. Therefore, if I have estrogen, I'm going to be feminine. That's the thinking of many people. Flawed thinking, yes, but to them it makes sense. Despite it not being true in the least bit, obviously, right? Phytoestrogen, yes, it sounds like the word estrogen because it has the word estrogen in it. But, and I'm talking to you on the tubers, because I'm sure many of you guys believe this, eating soy does not raise estrogen levels. It just doesn't. There has been so many human randomized controlled trials that it's just not even a debatable thing anymore. This isn't me encouraging you to intake soy. This isn't me saying that you have to have it or it's the best thing ever. I don't give a shit if you have it or not. I don't really have it much. I don't really go out of my way to have it or not have it. I just don't think it should be something that you're scared of having, personally. It's plant-based estrogen, says this person on the tube. Once again, that's just not true. There's just no evidence to back that up. I encourage you to get off the realm of the internet that you're at that has managed to convince you of such information. But yeah, that's just not true. All right, guys, if you can keep tapping and sharing, that would be great. If you do disagree with the background, please come on up. I'm trying to make as much conversation as I can until we can have some people come up. You drink raw milk with a bit of alcohol? Cool. Hope you enjoyed that. So you disagree that eating McDonald's 5 times a week is bad? Yes, exactly. That's what I said. Yeah. Yes, that's clearly what I've been talking about, sure. I am sure theoretically somebody could have McDonald's 5 days a week. Again, incredibly theoretical. I don't think this would be easy or very plausible in practice. I am sure somebody can be very picky and choosy what they get at McDonald's and try to get the healthiest thing there, while everything else that they eat outside of that is healthy. They're active and moving around, and I'm sure they could be probably fine, right? The reason why a McDonald's or any fast food for that matter is problematic is because it tends to be very calorically dense, right? It's very palatable, doesn't really fill us up as much as, say, other foods do. So you have a dangerous combination of something that's palatable, doesn't fill you up, very calorically dense. That's not a good combination at all if you are looking to maintain your weight and or just lose weight.
Hello.
Hey, Torto, what's up?
Pretty good. May I ask what your background is in?
Which background? That background? You just cut out.
I said, like, what is your field of study, occupation?
I'm just a personal trainer. Is there something that you're that
Okay.
you disagree with on the
Well, I
background?
mean, we have links that artificial sweeteners are bad for you. Like aspartame is one of the most common ones that we've seen that it can cause a myriad of negative side effects on individuals who consume it.
Links. No cause and effect has ever been proven. There's correlation, but
No cause and effect has ever been proven?
no,
Here, let
no,
me
not
pull
at
up
all.
a study.
Please.
Do you believe that? Okay, well, let me ask you another question. Do you believe mRNA vaccines do not change genetics?
Can we just stay on one thing? Let's just stay with artificial because I don't want to jump to a whole different thing. Let's
Well, I
just stay
mean,
with
we
artificial
have
sweeteners.
research that shows this, so you're denying these
Show it.
scientific
Yeah, what?
journals that have showed
Show it. Show me research that shows a cause and effect from artificial sweeteners to, I believe you said, cancer. Again, yeah, there's and exactly no causation does
I
not
never said
equal
cancer,
correlation.
right?
What is it that you said? Regardless of whatever it is that you said, there is no cause and effect. Here's the deal. People that tend to consume artificial sweeteners, and this is what you see in the cohort studies, people that tend to consume artificial sweeteners are also the same people that tend to drink more, they tend to smoke more, they tend to be more overweight. I got news for you. Those three combinations of things tend to cause higher rates of cancer, higher rates of cardiovascular disease, higher rates of stroke, etc., etc., etc. But when we look at all the research that controls for those confounding variables, we just don't see that at all. In fact, we see that when people tend to switch out sugar for artificial sweeteners, we actually see positive health outcomes. Yeah, anybody's welcome to provide a study. Person who's very angry in the tube comments. What's your name? Alcinine? You seem angry. dangerous combination of being uneducated and angry is not good. You wish you weren't working, yeah, I get it. Dan, I didn't even want to venture into that. That was going to go into an entirely new topic, and I want to, I want to stay away from that topic in general, if possible. All right, what study did you find that showed that cause and effects?
So, like, you have the FDA on artificial sweeteners showing that they show carcinogenic risk.
Yeah, so you're going to be talking about the WHO, the World Health Organization, that classifies it as a possible carcinogen. Cell phones are in that same category, by the way. So if you think artificial sweeteners cause cancer, you should probably get off your cell phone.
If I think, no, the sun causes cancer, right? Is that an excuse for me not to go outside?
Well, no, because we know the poison is in the dose, meaning being outside in the sun for long periods of time, sure, but we know ways to protect that. Whereas, say, with artificial sweeteners, we also know the poison is in the dose as well. Any research that shows that it can cause cancer or there's a linkage with cancer, they were given multitude higher doses than people would ever get. When we look at the proper doses, we just don't see that.
So, again, but to say they're not bad when they are proven to be bad.
You haven't shown the proof at all. You haven't shown the proof at all. And I think it's very dangerous to label foods as good or bad, because food is not binary, right? Your food, when you eat food, your body doesn't say, this is good, I'm going to use it for positive stuff, or this is bad, I'm going to use it for shitty things. That's not how it works, right? Food's not binary. Foods are either more nutrient dense or less nutrient dense, typically, right? But labeling foods as good or bad isn't.
We're not even talking about like caloric density here. We're talking about chemicals that are within food.
Everything's a chemical. Be careful of the usage. Be careful of the usage of the word of chemical, though. It's a fear-inducing word that means nothing. Everything's a chemical. Water is a chemical. Vegetables are made up of chemicals. But the reason I say it is because it instills fear in people when you say, aspartame's a chemical. Okay. It's disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
Agree, right? Water.
Yes.
Water is a chemical. You agree, right?
H2O, yeah. H2O is a chemical. Huh?
Yeah.
Dihydrogen monoxide. Yeah.
Yeah. So, dihydrogen monoxide. So, water is a chemical. Too much water is bad for you, correct?
Sure. Enough water can unalive somebody, yes.
Yeah. So, what is the volume of water needed to do that?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of liters per kilogram or per pound or something like that.
But we can both agree it is quite a lot, correct?
You
would have to consume quite a lot of water in a short period of time.
Sure. You would have to go out of your way to do it. You would have to go out of your way to do it. But
water sickness.
With aspartame or sucralose, you would also have to go and you would actually die of caffeine overdose if we're talking about, say, Diet Coke, before you would have aspartame issues. If you drank enough diet soda, you would literally unalive from caffeine first.
The difference is like you said, when I say the word chemical, you say, oh, well, that's a very fear-mongering, inducing thing, right? Because it brings out the fear, right? Mm-hmm. But then on the flip side, you're saying, oh, well, these things aren't bad, right? You're doing the same exact thing. You are bringing out that these things are not bad, that they can be even good for you when they are not. It's just like the sun. We know the sun causes cancer, but we also need the sun to produce calcitonin. We need vitamin D, right? We need that from the sun. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's good in appropriate doses. But you know, and that's the thing is, when we're saying that things are good and they're bad, well, everything can be both good and bad.
I couldn't agree more. Most things, sure. Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
people aren't
here's
taking,
the
people aren't ingesting cesium 137 for health benefits. Like, come on.
So here's
You
the
know,
deal, man. Here's the deal. When it comes to artificial sweetener, they contain no calories at all. The average caloric intake for an American citizen is like 32 to 3,500 calories, which is fucking insane, by the way. Now, when we're talking about artificial sweeteners, typically they are taken in place of sugar. So if somebody's having, say, 200 calories worth of sugar per day, and they then take out those 200 calories and have aspartame instead, yeah, that person's definitely going to get healthier for sure, every single time. You're cutting out 200 calories of sugar, that person's going to get noticeably healthier.
cutting out 200 calories of sugar when your daily caloric intake, will say, is 3,500 calories. That's 3,300 calories, but we'll say it's a 30-year-old 5'5" woman whose daily whose calories burned is 1,200 calories. That doesn't make them healthier. They're still
Yeah, oh, yeah, it
within a
does.
negative. They're still gaining weight.
Sure, but well, they could, it depending on what their caloric intake is, right? That could be the difference between them gaining a pound a month or losing a pound a month. 200 calories very well could be the difference, or it could even be the difference between them
One more, right.
gaining
Well,
3 pounds a
let's break
month
that down.
and gaining, say, 1 pound a month, right? Even gaining less weight is still
Well,
better for you than gaining more
again,
weight.
we're using your argument, right? We're saying we have a patient here.
Hmm.
3,500 is their average caloric intake. I
Hmm.
said 30-year-old 5'5" female with
Hmm.
the average metabolic rate of 1,200 calories, which means that they are an excess of 2,300 calories. 2,300 calories versus, if you
Well, hold
swapped up
on.
to
Wait.
aspartame, would be
Where did you get
2,100
their?
calories.
Where did you get that they're in excess of 2,300 calories?
If they are consuming 3,500 calories, but their metabolic rate is 1,200, right?
But your metabolic rate is not
3,500
your total.
minus 1,200.
But you're. I don't know if you're purposely leaving out context or not, but we have to calculate your total
We're
daily
saying
energy
sedative
expenditure.
lifestyle.
No.
We're
But
saying
one's
sedative
BMR.
lifestyle.
But we have to use somebody's TDEE, their total daily energy expenditure, and not
Okay,
just their metabolic
what do
rate,
you want to
because
make
there's a
the
huge.
total? It doesn't matter. What do you want to
Because
make the
we're
total
using
daily?
a theoretical person, and you're denying that
Yeah,
cutting out 200 calories for your average person is going to make a difference. It's absolutely going to make a difference.
it is not making a difference when they're still in excess of 2,000 calories a
In
day.
this theoretical person,
2,000, an
your
excess of
average
2,000
person,
calories a day over
Torta,
a month would be
Torta,
in excess of 15
your
pounds.
average person is not in a surplus of 1,200 calories or 2,000. Nobody. That's you would be you. It would be the rarest thing to find somebody who's in a surplus of 2,000 calories or whatever. That is incredibly rare to find. Your average person is probably in a surplus of like 100 or 200 calories. Like, and you're denying that cutting out a couple hundred calories is going to make a difference.
So let's circle back on that. What did you say was the average caloric intake for Americans?
It's about 32 to 3,500 calories,
Okay,
but again,
3,200
it
to
depends.
3,500 calories.
I
So
don't.
that you're saying that the average American is burning 3,000 calories a day, but consuming 3,200 calories a day?
I don't understand what your
I,
criticism
I
is
don't I
here.
don't I don't like I don't understand your
How are you
your
possibly
logic and
denying?
reasoning in this.
How are you possibly denying that there's no way you're doing this accidentally? You have to purposely be disingenuous right now to deny that
I'm
cutting
not
out
being disingenuous.
200 calories worth of
I'm
sugar
pointing
is
out
not a good thing.
your statement. I am pointing out your statement. You said that the
Okay.
average American consumes 3,200 to 3,500 calories. That was your words. That came out of your mouth. You also said that the average American is in a calorie deficit of 200,
I
which means
never
that
said
if
that.
you,
Never said that. Never
that
said
is what you
that. You
said.
are putting. Shut up. You are
That's
putting words in
exactly.
my mouth. Nope. You are putting words in my mouth. Listen, it's very difficult
I
to
have it
talk
in
to a
4K. I
disingenuous
can bring it
person.
back up to you.
I don't give a shit. I don't particularly like
Or
talking to somebody
surplus,
who's
yeah.
being purposely disingenuous. You're trying
How am I
to.
being purposely disingenuous?
How can you
By
deny
going by
that?
what you
Shut
are
up!
saying.
I am talking. How can you deny that cutting out 200 calories worth of sugar is not a good thing? What fucking world are you living in?
Cutting out 200 calories when you're in excess of 2,000
In a
calories a day.
theoretical person, Jesus fucking Christ. Nobody's in a
In a
2,000
theoretical
surplus.
person?
Stop unmuting yourself. Nobody is in a 2,000 surplus of calories. That is incredibly goddamn rare. That is not happening. And even if that were the case, you are still letting
Let me
perfection
ask you a
become the enemy
question.
of good. Cutting out
What do
calories
you
for
think?
anybody is going to be a beneficial thing, even if
What
that
do you
means you're
think?
just gaining less weight.
Again, what do you think the average surplus is for Americans each day?
Dude, I think you are so afraid to be proven wrong that you are just getting really detailed into this thing because you don't want to discuss the larger scope of things.
No, I do want to discuss the larger scope of things, but when
I
you're
don't
saying
care.
that
I
the
don't
average
care what
American,
I don't give a fuck what the average surplus is. It could be 20,000 calories. Still, cutting out 200 is better than not.
cutting out 200 calories on an excess of 20,000 calories doesn't do
It's still
anything.
better than not.
You would need to cut out 20,000 calories to do anything.
And this type of thing is incredibly dangerous for people because you are getting people to think that, gosh, if I don't do things perfectly, I might as well not at all. That is one of the most dangerous thinking that you can instill in people, and that is why people oftentimes have fucking eating disorders, because they think that they must be perfect with things, and if they make a small change, well, it's just not worth it. That's horrible to be instilling that in people.
Is gaining weight bad? Is obesity bad?
What do you mean by bad? Is it unhealthy? Yes. Is it bad? I'm not going to impose morality upon it.
Well, we're not talking about morality. Is it bad to
But that's why I don't
one's
want.
physical health? Is it negative to one's physical health?
Gaining an excess amount of body fat is not helpful to somebody's health. Yes, it's harmful to somebody's health, and therefore, on the opposing end of things, losing any amount of adipose tissue is going to be a good thing, or even gaining less is still a good thing. If somebody goes from gaining, I don't know, 2 pounds a month of body fat to 1, sure, you want to get that person to lose weight, but that's still progress.
Yes, it may be progress, but it's still bad that they are gaining 1 pound and
Okay,
they
great,
are obese
great,
and it's negative
great,
on their body.
great. Let's look at other things in their diet that they can change. That is great that we just cut out 200 calories by instilling an artificial sweetener. Let's find some other ways to cut out calories. We don't have to focus on one food or one thing. You can focus on many aspects of their diet.
That's like telling a smoker to swap to vaping. You know that, right?
Well, no, because I think at this point we do understand that vaping is pretty goddamn bad for you. No, what this would be comparable
It's
to,
better than smoking.
if you want to use an analogy, this would be like somebody smoking a pack a day and then cutting them down to like a pack every 3 days. That is significantly better. Is it best that they stop? Of course. But going from 1 pack a day to 1 pack every 3 days is significantly better, and we should praise that person for making progress.
No, that would not
Yes,
be a proper analogy.
it is progress.
That would be someone consuming 500 grams of sugar a day and getting them down to 200 grams of sugar a day.
Great, perfect.
Going
That's still
from
progress.
sugar, going from glucose to aspartame would be the same thing as going from a cigarette to a vape. That would actually be a more appropriate analogy for it,
Okay.
because you're going from something that is more organic to inorganic that is
Have you
artificially
provided
created.
Have you provided any research whatsoever to show that aspartame is bad for you? You still have yet to do that.
I just told you from the FDA.
The FDA, what? What did they say? And I want research.
Artificial
I don't want.
sweeteners, they
I want
are
research. I
carcinogenic.
want Torta. I want research. And no, they didn't say
I
that.
just
I want
told you
research.
where it was when you
Torta,
first asked me for it.
research. Provide
I already
me
brought it up for you.
research. No, you didn't. Provide research, please. The FDA is not research. I want research.
From the
No,
FDA.
research. Research. Provide me research.
The FDA, what?
Research.
What are you talking about, the research? It's in the article.
Research. I don't want an article.
Okay, it's
I
in
want
the article.
research.
Pull
I
up the
want
article.
research. I want research. I don't want articles, please.
The article has the research in it.
Oh, great. So go to the research.
You can pull it up from the article.
I'm not going to do your work. I want the research, please.
What are you talking about? My work. I provided my
Can you
source. I
provide me
provided an
any?
article from the
You
FDA.
provided an FDA. I don't want an article. I want research. Research. Show
Again, the
me it.
article
Show
has
me.
the research in it
So
from
provide it
multiple
for me.
studies.
So show me the study. Quote the study.
Again, you can go and pull
Torta,
up and see,
stop
have
being
access to
lazy.
all of the
Stop being
research.
a lazy piece of shit and provide me the study.
Oh, now I'm a piece of shit.
Uh-huh.
You asked for the
A
source. I gave you the
lazy. No, no,
source.
no. A
Now you want
lazy piece of
more.
shit. Not just a piece of shit, but a lazy one.
hmm
So do you have
I
the
gave you the
research?
source. I
No.
have provided you the
Research.
source.
So what's the name of the study? I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. Tell me the name of the study, please. I'm ready. You guys are enjoying live. Make sure you give me a follow. Keep tapping and share. Didn't drop him. My hands are over here. He left himself. Remember, guys, in order for me to drop somebody, I have to do that. He left. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Isn't that crazy, guys, that the moment I pressured him to actually get a study that he fucking dropped? Weak. You're a weak, Torta. You are weak and pathetic. Let's get to the next guest. We are looking for opposition, everybody. All right, I don't think they're live anymore. Although somebody in the comments, and I want to address this, said that artificial sweeteners trick your body into producing insulin. No, there's no evidence to back that up. Even if you were to show any research for that to be the case, that insulin response would still be significantly lower than sugar. Still a net benefit, even if that were to be true. Torta, if you accidentally dropped, which I don't think you did, you are welcome to come back up. But again, I don't think you accidentally were dropped. I think you purposely did there. I don't know. I couldn't tell if he was being purposely disingenuous or not. I just couldn't imagine arguing that some progress is just as bad as no progress. Like, I don't know. I think that's really harmful thinking. That if I don't make the progress that I feel I should, that's perfect. I might as well not at all. Again, I think that's very harmful. I really do. That sort of thinking truly is one of the things that leads people to eating disorders and not reaching some of their fitness goals. Or it doesn't even have to do with fitness. It could be anything. People fall into, and I do too. I'm not saying I'm an exception to this. It's easy for us to fall into the mindset of all or nothing. You have this goal in mind. Taking one step towards a 1,000-step goal is still progression in the right direction. Would it be better to take 20 steps at a time? Sure, but you only can work with what you can do. And if you're only in a spot in life where you can only make the small amount of change, I think that's still great. It beats not making changes, or even worse, setbacks. Artificial sweeteners to your body, is this your it's starting to get hot in here. Again, the people watching on YouTube, you are welcome to come on up. Let me post the phone number again. Here we go. All I am trying to say is that we can only do so much at a time, right? Sometimes we're in a position in life where we can make more progress. Things are going good for us. We're firing on all cylinders. Our relationships are going well. Work is going well. We're in a healthy mindset mentally. Cool. You might be able to make tons of progress towards whether it's a weight loss goal or whether it's a strength-based goal or whether it's a whatever the fuck goal. It doesn't matter, right? You might be able to make more progress at certain times. But then on the flip side, you may also be in positions in life where I don't know, maybe, yeah, your relationship isn't going well. Maybe you're struggling with depression and, struggling at work and things like that. Um, I don't want that person to fall into that all or nothing mindset of them just saying, fuck it, I'm just not going to do anything towards whatever your goal is, right? Do what you can do at that time. All we can ever do is the best we can ever do at a given time. And that sounds very obvious, but when we're in that mindset, sometimes it's not so much obvious, right? You're it's tough because we see people on social media who always appear to be doing their best, right? Because, if you're a content creator or whatever on the internet, you're always going to put your best self forward. You're always going to talk about positive things, generally speaking, right? So like people get the impression when they see somebody on the screen, like, oh gosh, this person does everything right. They're perfect. They do this, they do that. They don't struggle with this or that. No, every single person that you see on the screen, on your phone, on your laptop, and your iPad, they all struggle with very, very similar things, if not sometimes more. For sure, Dan. Yeah, Dan. And I think that's good to say that as well, because you're right. There are times where maybe you can't even put your best forward, and that's okay too, right? Maybe you're in a position where things are just really, really, not going well in life. Maybe you just can't put your best self forward even at that given time. That best self, whatever that best self looks like. Okay, that's fine. Also, it's not the end of the world. Right? I think probably what's more important at that time is taking care of your mental health, if anything else, right? Sometimes we have to prioritize things, right? If you have a goal to lose 50 pounds in a year, for example, 6 months in, you lost 30 pounds, you're more on track than ever to hit it, right? You hit 30 pounds over 6 months, which means you're tracking better than you originally planned, and then shit hits the fan. You lose or you gain back 10, 15, 20 of those pounds, whatever it might be. You're dealing with severe depression and anxiety. Maybe that might be more important to deal with at that given moment than that weight loss, because that mental health is probably going to harm you first than the excess amount of weight that you may potentially have. Right? We sometimes have to prioritize things. Right? Sometimes if you're in a really bad spot, it might be a W for the day if you just got up, you got yourself to shower and brush your teeth and ate a nice meal. That might be all you can do in a given day, and that's pretty goddamn good, because sometimes the alternative is laying in bed all day, not showering, not brushing your teeth, and eating nothing all day. Or if you eat something, just eating like a sleeve of Oreo. You know what I mean? So yeah, you are right, Dan. Sometimes we can't even put our best self forward, and that's okay too. I think we also need to be kind to ourselves. By the way, guys, everything that I'm saying here are things that I can take advice to as well. Again, I struggle with all of these things and more. So, I forgot what I was about to say though. You wouldn't drink raw milk? Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to drink raw milk, guys. Hence the background. I understand some people think it tastes good. I don't know. I've never tasted it, although I have heard from multiple people that it tastes good. I'm sure it does. However, again, just the chances of getting a foodborne illness is just so much higher than pasteurized milk, with no advantages otherwise. It just doesn't. It's just not worth it. Goals can be readjusted and tweaked. In fact, they almost always have. Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's very seldom that somebody has a goal that stretches out over 6 months, a year, whatever, or even over a few weeks, that it's always going to go the exact way that they plan. That probably almost never happens. Again, if anybody disagrees with the background, you can come on up. Torta, if you're still here, you can still come back up. You're always welcome to provide that study that you never showed. You want to eat beach sands? I heard that's very good for you. Let me know how that goes, Treff. Oh, Pete, thank you. That's a super cool gift. Tiny Diny Trek. I like it. It's super cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pete. Oh, man. 12 o'clock Eastern time. Interesting. Maybe I may restart here in a minute. I would like to get some more guests on up so we can have some conversations. There's only so much I can talk to you guys. I try to make as much conversation as I can based on the comments that I see and based on whatever pops into my mind, but sometimes I hit a wall, to be honest. I'm like, I don't know what else to talk about. No, I don't want to do your battle. I've never done a battle on TikTok and I never will do a battle. It just doesn't seem like something I want to do, personally. Again, guys, if you do disagree with the background, come on up. If you're in this live is obviously a smaller and quieter live than my normal ones, or my regular ones, rather, I should say. Some people like it. It feels a little more, what's the word? Community-like? I don't know. Something like that. Have you ever visited an Amish farm? They drink straight from the cow. Yeah, I'm sure they do. But Amish people aren't really healthier than people who are not Amish. In fact, we actually see higher rates of cardiovascular disease with the Amish population than we do to the rest of the population. I never really understood that, really, when people say, well, the Amish drink raw milk and they're alive, therefore raw milk must be good for you. It just seems like a weird flow of logic that this group of people drinks this thing. This group of people, they're alive, therefore this thing must be good. Like that makes no sense to me, really. I mean, it would be one thing if the Amish community was significantly healthier than the rest of the population. Okay, maybe something we can look at, right? And maybe it might not even be the raw milk. Maybe it might be something else that's causing it. Who knows? That would be something we'd have to look at. But they're not even healthier than the rest of the population. So I just don't see what that correlation has to do with anything, really. Christina, thank you so much. Now, again, as I have stated previously, the Amish, on average, do take about 4 times more steps than the rest of the population. The average U.S. population takes roughly 4,000-ish steps per day, while the Amish population, on average, takes roughly 16,000 steps per day, 17,000, something like that. So we're looking at a 4x difference. Sure, anybody would get healthier if they went from 4,000 to 16,000 steps per day. Sure, you would see differences in one's health. Now, I think the main takeaway from, I guess, if you want to look at the Amish community is, hey, maybe let's move around more. Maybe let's be active more. But however, they do intake a hell of a lot saturated fats, the Amish community, as we see with the milk that they drink. They eat a lot of red meat, etc., etc. Their saturated content is high. No wonder why they also have higher rates of cardiovascular disease. That shouldn't come as a surprise. So, again, the takeaway, once again, that we can have is maybe let's minimize saturated fat. Absolutely, you do not have to eliminate it. There's no reason to eliminate saturated fat. Saturated fat in small quantities is totally okay, but let's minimize it. Let's move around more. Okay, cool. That's a good takeaway from what we're talking about. Hey, Kara. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, if anybody's just joining the live, I know we don't have much people in here. You are welcome to join. On TikTok, you can hit the request button. If you're on the tube, you can call that number. Soy? This guy has not watched Landman. Okay. Chemicals. Yes, story time. Guys, I hate to be on repeat here, but everything is a chemical. So, story time. You saying Ceto is this or that or chemicals, therefore they're bad, or you insinuating that with your stupid little comment, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. You drinking a gallon of water, well, gosh, you just drank a gallon of chemicals. How dare you? 4,000 steps, I think I'm understanding why Americans are so obese. No, for sure. Listen, guys, obesity is a very complex thing. It's very multifaceted. We cannot point to any one variable or indicator as to why obesity occurs. One of the many variables, yes, is our lack of exercise and movement. One of many, though. One of many. There are many other variables that play into it. But yeah, that is something your average person can do that is within their control to either minimize any health issues that they have, or better yet, um, uh, make them healthier, right? So yeah, go for more walks. I think that's a great thing. I think that's an easy, palatable thing that your average person can do. Go around for a couple more walks. You know? If you don't walk at all, if you're very sedentary, okay, start off with a 30-minute walk per day around your block. I think that's something most people can do. Obviously, you have injuries or you have some sort of issue or whatever, yeah, you may not be able to, but we're talking about people who are able to do so. Could the fact that we're a more car-driven system? Yes, Danielle, yes. And that is also one of the reasons why many of the European countries are healthier, because they move around more. They are not as much of a car-driven society. They're more of a walk-based society. Now, obviously, they still drive, but yeah, they do walk and move around a lot more in many of those countries. They're just more walkable, really. And that is one of the reasons why they are healthier over there for sure. Nomad heroes? Yeah, tell me you know nothing about health and fitness without telling me you know nothing about health and fitness. Walking is a very good thing that somebody can implement into their daily routine that absolutely would have significant health effects. Um, it's incredibly naive of you to say otherwise. And I want to make it very clear, guys. I understand walking is not the hardest form of exercise. It is still exercise, though, for many people. Now, if you're already somebody who's very active, is walking exercise? No, probably not. But for people who are sedentary, yeah, walking would be a form of exercise that, again, is very palatable and something that's very manageable and able to be you're able to be consistent with. Now, are there other things that we can do to make ourselves healthier? Yeah, no duh. But again, we cannot let perfection become the enemy of good. I'm an idiot, I guess, guys, according to YouTube, because I'm telling you guys to walk more. How dare I offer something that many people can easily do? How dare I offer that you can walk more? Gosh, I am such an awful person. You know what, guys? Don't walk more. Sit on your couch more. Watch more TV. Yeah, that'll help. Yeah, it is very good advice, Nomad. Where are you making content to give healthy and positive advice towards people? Are you doing that, Nomad? I don't think you are, buddy. You can't out-train a bad diet. I think that's one of those sayings that is said within the fitness world that is sometimes true and applicable, but I think we have to be wary of making that as an end-all be-all rule. I agree. I agree. If somebody's eating an awful diet where they're eating 4,000 calories a day, yes. If you go on a treadmill for an hour a day and you strength train 5 days a week for an hour, yes, you're probably not going to lose weight. However, this is a very, very big however, it still beats not doing those things. Gaining 1 pound of fat a month is still better than gaining 2 pounds of fat a month. Of course, you want to get to the point, if that's your goal, to lose the weight. But gaining less weight is still progress. It's still going in the right direction. And yes, sometimes you can out-train a quote-unquote bad diet, which again, as you guys know, I don't like to refer to diets as good or bad. I think it's unhealthy to do that. I think it's unhealthy to refer to diets as inherently good or bad. However, though, just for the sake of the conversation, we'll do that. Yeah, I think you can. If you are eating a diet that only puts you in a 100-calorie surplus, right? And you're eating healthy-ish food, but you're still eating a surplus of calories. Yeah, you're still going to gain weight. But hey, if you start implementing, 30 minutes of walking a day and 2 days a week of strength training, yeah, that absolutely will offset that for sure, right? You're almost certainly going to be burning more calories. That's going to put you at least at maintenance, potentially at a deficit. All the meanwhile, you are also going to be gaining strength and muscle in the meantime, which is going to be healthy for you and also is going to help your basal metabolic rate over time. So yeah, there are many instances in which you could out-train a quote-unquote bad diet. But I agree with that overall sentiment that, yeah, in general, you can't. But I think that saying, unfortunately, discourages people from doing something. Because I think a lot of you guys here have heard that saying before, that you can't out-train a bad diet. And I don't know. Again, I'm just weary of using that saying. Again, I think it encourages people, or rather discourages people, to do anything. So if your average person thinks, "Oh gosh, my diet's bad. I can't out-train it. I might as well not do anything." I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Bad diets, as in a calorie-rich, nutrient-poor, cannot train it. Again, what is your name? Don? I don't know what your name is. Yeah, no, I listen. I'm not trying to be naive here or purposely naive. I obviously get what people mean when they say bad diet. Yes, typically that's what it means: is a caloric surplus, low in nutrients. Yeah, I get it, and you're right. More often than not, yes, you cannot out-train it. No matter how hard you work out, your lack of nutrients is still going to affect your health. I agree. I agree with that. But once again, I still think that doing something is still better than nothing. His hero eats only burnt cheeseburgers. Forgive him. Oh, yeah. That person was obviously been trained to depend on his bad diet. What do you mean by that? Yeah, Porgy, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Let me know what you mean by that, or what you're necessarily referring to. I felt like I had to change everything, diet, exercise, all at once to become healthy, and that was too daunting, so I didn't do anything. Baby steps are still steps, and help me reach where I am now. Absolutely, Daniel. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of like the main thing that I've been talking about this entire time. And sure, there are some people, but these people are in the minority, right? The people that overnight, essentially, were able to just make huge changes, right? Maybe they're 250 pounds, carrying a lot of excess body fat. And, one day they woke up and said, gosh, I just can't be like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this. I want to be different. And they just, boom, overnight, essentially, flipped their diet around 180, stopped sitting on the couch, and they started doing all these things. That's not the majority of people. I'm sorry, right? That's great if you're able to do that. I think that's terrific. Your average person, that's not fucking happening. And so, yes, Danielle, I think it is significantly better that we put out the narrative that, yeah, doing baby steps still is very good progress, right? Sometimes, most of the time, people just can't make huge overhauls with their diet or lifestyle. It's just too daunting and too stressful. And you can say all you want, well, man up, and it shouldn't be stressful, and just do it anyways. Well, I'm sorry, if that type of language worked, it would have by now. We wouldn't be having this conversation. I think, and this is, I see this with my clients, right? Like, small changes make big differences over time. If I have a client that wants to lose 30 pounds or something like that, I'm not expecting them, nor do I really want them to lose that 30 pounds in 2 months or 3 months. That's entirely too quick. I much prefer that they lose that over a longer period of time because it instills better habits. It instills more long-term consistent habits rather than this crash diet sort of thing that almost inevitably turns on us. What about raw oil and seed milk? I increased resistant starch intake considerably and lost fat around my middle. Nice. I'm happy to hear that. I have lost jobs, not been cast in acting due to not being able to gain weight. Interesting. Well, yeah, if you work in that field, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, depending on how you look at it, yeah, like how you look is going to play a huge role. It is sort of, it is what it is. Seed milk sounds sick. Good luck with that, fish stick. Let me know how that works out for you, buddy. All right, again, guys, let me, if you want to call in on the tube, here's my number. It's my Google Voice number that you can call in from. We can have a conversation there if you disagree with the background. If you're on TikTok, you can hit the request button. I'm short S, fish stick. High gas prices that were 100% preventable. That could easily have not happened. Sure, that's working out. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what else is working out. I have no idea what other else things in your life would have gotten better, specifically because of Trump. If you're going to mention the economy and the stock market or whatever, you can say that about every goddamn president. Every single president, the stock market hits a new high. Yet somehow, and this does happen with Democrats too, so I'm not going to say otherwise. Somehow, every time it happens, when somebody's in office, they love to take credit for it. Now, I get it's a political thing to do so, but it's a little wild to me that, like, stock market hits a high, there's a president, and they're like, well, this president must have done it. All right, you can put fucking anybody in that seat, the stock market's still going to go up. Last time I checked, the president doesn't directly control the stock market unless they're trying to manipulate it like a certain somebody for their own benefit to make billions of dollars. But hey, that's cool too, right? Guys, Nancy Pelosi making millions of dollars with insider trading, bad. Donald Trump making billions of dollars through his pump and dump crypto, that's good, and that's smart, and that's a business move. But Nancy Pelosi, evil and bad. That's how things work, guys, just to let you know. Keep tapping and sharing, guys, if you can, please, on TikTok. Make sure if you do want to join live, you click the request button there at the bottom of the screen. If my wife gets upset with me, it's worse than politics. Yeah, I can certainly see that being true. Well, what are we going to do here, guys? You want to restart? Maybe I can restart. I don't know where the ops are at, really. I don't know. Again, this live typically is on the slower end when I do this, but not ever really this low. We need community leaders more than politicians. Yeah, sure. I think that'd be helpful for sure. All right, I'm gonna do a restart. People on YouTube, I'm not gonna restart you. That will just remain the same. All right, guys on TikTok, I'm gonna restart. It's gonna be 2 seconds, though. Okay, I'm gonna end it, and then I'm just gonna quickly restart it. Okay, I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm not gonna get distracted. I'm just gonna restart. So I'll see you guys all in 2 seconds. All right, here we go. All right, guys. So we restarted. Again, people on 2, we didn't. You saw a bright light. Oh, I don't know. I don't know where you were. It's a good question, huh? Ridiculous. I have a package that was supposed to be sent to me roughly a week ago. I live in Tampa, Florida. It got to Tampa, and then it got sent to Fort Lauderdale. Called USPS days and days and days ago. They said they would fix it. It went back halfway up the state to Opelika, or partway up the state. Then went right back to Fort Lauderdale again. And now it's back to Opelika again. We'll see if it makes it way back to Tampa. The correct address is on the package. It was verified, yet somehow USPS is sucking up so badly that they can't seem to get it to Tampa. They somehow seem to want to bring it to Fort Lauderdale. CEDOs are bad. Okay. Well, San Diego, I'm going to post my number here that you can call on then. If you do believe CEDOs are bad and you have some solid evidence to back it up, I'd love to see it. Hey, people on the tube. Hope you guys are all doing well. Make sure you guys tap and share. We are looking for opposition, though, please. So anybody that disagrees with the background, come on up. No, ATJW, you're okay. No worries. He grew up on Clearwater Beach. Yeah, I'm not too far from Clearwater. Clearwater is probably about, I don't know, 30-ish minutes for me. Give or take. Did you guys see this, the leaked email of Kash Patel? What the fuck is this? You guys saw this, right? It's ridiculous. All right, let's get to this one here. Like, what? I don't know. He was just
What's up,
dancing.
Doug?
Hey, what's up? What's your name, Trace?
Yeah. You
Hey,
said
I see.
soy isn't bad?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any evidence to show that it is. Do you have evidence showing that it is bad?
Well, not that it's good or bad, but that it has effeminizing traits, that it could destroy your endocrine system, that it could disrupt your hormones, your testosterone production, and
Okay.
it's kind of on full display here, right?
Do you have any randomized control trials to show that to be true?
Yeah, there was this one that RFK was citing. Let me send it here in the comments 1 second.
Yeah. If you have it, I'd love to see it. I personally, yeah. Go ahead and put it in the comments. As far as soy goes, guys, there's been, I think, like 30, 40 randomized control trials, human randomized control trials, more specifically, done on it. I think even more, but I'm aware of at least 30 to 40 of them. None of them showed any increase of estrogen or any or loss of testosterone, even for that matter. Yeah, I mean, there's been, so for anybody that's not familiar, in these randomized control trials, what they do is they have groups of people where they look at their before hormone levels. They look at their testosterone, estrogen, things like that, right? They look at what the levels are at. They give them a certain amount of soy, right? A certain amount of grams of soy over a period of time. Depends on the study. Sometimes it might be a short 1, 2, 3 weeks. Sometimes it's 4, 6 weeks plus, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever, right? None of them show any changes in hormone levels from any of the amount of soy that typically we would get on a average weekly basis. You got it? All right, Science Direct.
Yeah,
Let's pull it up over here. Let's see. All right, it's gonna be hard for me to copy it because I'm trying to type it in right now. Science Direct. That's a lot to type in, man. What is that? S0 8 9 9 9 0 0 7 0 0 0 359X. Doing a lot of work here, guys. No.
Sorry, I thought I copied the title. There's another one right here.
Yeah, just give me the title.
This is-
That'd be so much easier. Okay, secondary hypogonadism due to excessive ingestion of isoflavone in a man. All right, cool. Let's check it out. So this looked at one.
This was the first.
Okay.
This was the first, the Science Direct one, the one I just put in the comments.
Okay, let me look at that one
this
because
is the shit that make.
Let me look at that one because
Okay.
the other one looked at one human being. So I think it might be good that we look at
this one also looked at one human being. No, this one also looked at one human being.
But all of the other randomized controlled trials that have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300 people show otherwise.
Oh, you're saying that it's gone through like clinical trials and it's like tested like repeatable data.
Yeah, like there's.
Yeah, well, I think it's fine for me to use anomalies because I think that I think the exceptions prove the rule in this case. You don't want to be a soy boy or anything like that.
Why would the exception prove the rule when these studies don't control for confounding variables?
I don't know, but I think that it's better, better to be safe than sorry, and
but there's no evidence.
Trust
but
the FDA, so
it's not being safer than sorry. You're just doing something based on misinformation.
Well, how's it misinformation?
Because it's not true.
Soy boy.
I don't care what people say. There's no research to show that soy increases estrogen at all. You just bought into some fear-mongering propaganda. There's no evidence to back it up whatsoever.
There's evidence that shows that, eating red meat increases your testosterone.
Where's that evidence? Are you going to show me a study of one human being again?
No, the red meat one is like a testable, provable thing. So instead of drinking,
Why are you so
Why would red
obsessed with
meat increase
hormones?
testosterone?
Why are you so obsessed with hormones? Why would
Well, because
why
you
would
want to
it?
be a Chad, don't you? You don't want to be a Chad.
I think you are very hyper obsessed about hormones when there's probably better things to focus on. Considering if you just get a good 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, you eat a healthy diet, you exercise regularly, that's going to be about all you can do to maximize your testosterone levels if that's something you value. Beyond that,
Of
it's all
course. Wait,
genetics.
I don't disagree with you there. I
But
agree, and I think that also going to the gym, and you can also increase your natural testosterone production by working out, or just like going on a walk, and not eating complete goy slop in your diet. Like, don't eat fast food that's going to completely like spike your insulin, and don't spike your cortisol. But all of these things are
why
like
are you using all these
multivariable. It's not
buzzwords?
like
Why are you using all these
what is
buzzwords?
what buzzword did I
Cortisol,
just say?
spiking cortisol, and raising te-
Oh,
like
I
this is
actually have no
all
idea what
like
cortisol is. I just know that
this is
Nick
all
Fuentes
like
says you don't.
this is
He
all
says you
like
shouldn't spike your
this is
cortisol.
this is all like clavicular Nick Fuentes incel information that causes men to be
How is
completely
it?
insecure.
How is it insult to? I don't honestly know what cortisol is, but I know what insulin is, and I know that your blood sugar does need to be regular. But I know your body does most of that for you. But I think that cortisol, I don't know, it's like something that you probably don't want to spike. So like when you get angry, I think your cortisol starts to spike. I have no clue, but
You know your cortisol
I've been
goes up.
trying to.
You know your cortisol goes up when you work out, right?
Yeah, I have literally. I don't even know where the cortisol is located on the body, dude. I have no clue what the fuck that is. I
All
study
I'm saying
finance. I have
is,
no clue.
there's no evidence to show that soy increases estrogen or decreases testosterone at all. I'm not encouraging people to have soy. I'm not discouraging people. It is a good protein source, so if you want to have it, fine. But I think being afraid of it is a little silly.
Are you a vegan?
No,
You're not a
no,
vegan, so why do you care whether people you know take out soy out of their diets or not? Like,
I'm not.
what's your end goal here? I'm kind of
I'm
confused.
not. I care about people doing things that are evidence based and not doing things based on just propaganda or because some sort of influencer said so. I want people to make informative decisions that is backed up by the science.
Well, is soy really the best use? I'm assuming you have like a scientific background.
What do you mean by best use?
Well, I'll get to that, but like if you truly do have like a scientific background or some credentials where you could use your academic credentials to disprove or actually tell people that there is entire industries built off of false advertising,
Yeah, there is.
you know, um, the pharmaceutical industry or maybe the wellness industry, all of these industries that just manipulate people's weakest vulnerabilities, but you're using your academic credentials to just say like, hey guys, soy is a-okay. Like that's really the best use of
It
your time.
is.
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know. I
it
feel like you're being
is.
paid here. I don't know.
Okay.
It sounds
I
like
mean,
you're
that's typically what
taking a
people say.
paycheck.
Right. That's typically what people say when they have like no other things to say in the debate. So they just fall back to you must be paid because you have nothing else to say.
Well,
So
I'm not really pushing back on whether soy. I spent 2 studies. I didn't really think that soy was like something that is medically proven or anything like that. It has always been like a niche part of whatever internet fad. But it seems to me that you obviously care about being factually correct, but
hmm?
it seems that soy is the only thing that you care about being factually correct about. And then raw
There's other
milk,
things
which
on
is
the
just like,
screen. There's other things on the
yeah, raw milk.
screen.
Everybody knows you should drink pasteurized milk. Artificial sweeteners.
No, no,
Everybody
not
loves Diet
everybody.
Coke already.
Trace, not everybody knows that. The reason why I do this and mention raw milk is because I speak to many people who think raw milk is some sort of superfood.
Yeah,
I
like
speak to
Jews
these
and
people.
Mormons. Why do you?
All right, get the fuck out of here. Nope. We are not entertaining anti-Semitism, guys. Nope, 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 and nope. It's going to be a hard no. You didn't even need to tell me that you watched Nick Fuentes, by the way. You could have just been anti-Semitic, and I would have known that you watched Nick Fuentes. Hey, what's up, Dick?
Yo,
How are you?
What's good, man? What's good?
Hey, I just need to know your age, please.
18,
Cool. What's up?
8. Yes, sir. Yeah, so I'm a big follower of Santa Cruz, and
Okay.
I completely think you're just wrong, bro. Seed oils and all that artificial crap. This is
Okay.
not good for you, man.
Sure. Let's talk about one of them. Why are Cedo is bad?
Because like that's just something you're not supposed to have in your body, bro.
What's up?
Like it's like artificially man-made, you know, and it could probably it
What
can
is that?
harm you later on in
Uh,
life,
in which way can it harm people?
like cancer,
Okay. Can you
yeah.
demonstrate that Cedo cause cancer?
He's got to look it up, man.
I'm looking at the YouTube comment section. Can you show me that Cedo cause cancer?
No, I can't.
Okay. Is there anything that you can prove to me?
Tell me why raw milk is
Is there
bad.
anything that you can prove to me? Like
No,
when it
I
comes to
can't.
seed oils. Okay, cool. So your opinion
Yeah,
is based on what then?
feelings.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Raw milk. You think raw milk is good?
raw milk. My friend told me he drank that before. He was like, "Yo, you gotta get the raw milk, raw cheese. You know what I'm saying? All that raw honey and stuff. You know what I mean?" And he was like, "Dude, start drinking that." So I've been drinking that.
Okay.
I've been
And
drinking raw milk, man.
okay. And
Like,
what do you believe the benefits are of it?
I heard it's like milk, but like 10 times
Ten
stronger,
times
bro.
what?
That's why
10 times what?
my friend told me. Ten
10 times
times
what?
stronger.
Stronger than what?
Like 10 times of the value you get from um unpasteurized milk or pasteurized milk, I should say.
What do you mean
ten
by
times the
value?
value.
What do you mean by value?
Like like you get all the extra stuff.
Extra what?
You like from what they it's all natural.
What's
It's
all natural?
not messed with at all, not touched.
Okay. And what does that mean? Why is that a good thing?
Because it hasn't went through any man made stuff, you know.
And why does that make something better?
Because nowadays people view man made stuff as people view it as not good for you. You know what I mean?
All right,
People
man.
view it, and if the people
Okay.
see it
So I do hope you have a
yeah.
good rest of your day. I'm going to go ahead and move on. All right. Take care. Well, that was a goddamn waste of time. Let's go to a person that's like real and can have a real conversation. That conversation was going to make me very dumb very quickly. Hey, what's up, Mama? Going viral? How are you?
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to come up.
Oh, no worries. I'll bring you down. Take care. Okay.
You too,
All
thanks.
right. Yeah, no problem. All right, guys. We're looking for opposition. So if you disagree with the background prompt on TikTok, you can hit the request button. If you're watching on the tube, the number is just being pasted in the comments right there. Yeah, I know. Hi, that really hurt my brain as well. All right, let's look at what the YouTube comments are saying. Aren't seed oils only bad if they get your omegas out of whack? So that is something that people bring up, the ratio of omega 6s to omega 3s. I think there's a misunderstanding there when it comes to when people say that. Typically, the issue that we see is not the ratio that makes it necessarily bad of omega 6s to omega 3s, it's the lack of omega 3s. So the ratio per the research seems to matter far less than just somebody simply getting enough of the omega-3s. So to circle back to what you're saying, no, the issue with seed oils, no, it's not that. Now, there can be an issue with seed oils, right? Of what would be is typically you'll see them in fast foods or restaurants or things like that. They're just cheaper to cook with, so typically you're just going to see them more often. And so people make the false correlation in that I ate something that has seed oils, this food's unhealthy, therefore it must be because of the seed oils. However, though, seed oils indirectly can make it unhealthier by providing a lot of excess calories. But again, if you replace those seed oils with any other oil or butter for that matter, keeping the calories the same, no, it's not going to be healthier. In fact, if anything, it's probably going to be a little more unhealthy. As far as omega-6 to omega-3s, no, that wouldn't be the issue. Again, if you just get enough omega-3s in your diet, that would be sufficient enough, regardless of the amount of omega-6s that you have. Now, of course, if you eat so much seed oils and you get tons of omega-6s along with it, it's not the omega-6 that's the issue. It's the incredibly excess caloric intake that you're having. Yeah, no problem. So here's the deal. I wouldn't worry about seed oils. Again, I'm not encouraging people to have seed oils. I'm not discouraging from having it. I just think it's not something that you really need to worry about in the larger context of one's diet. If you are going to worry about something in relation to your diet, typically speaking, for your average person, if you were to track anything or worry about anything, whatever it might be, probably more so your calories than anything else. This is certainly not to say that nothing else matters. Absolutely not. But calories certainly do play a large role in things. Absolutely, it's important to make sure you're getting enough protein and fiber and all your micronutrients and minerals and all that fun stuff. Absolutely. However, though, if you're just in a huge caloric surplus, I don't care how much protein, fiber, micronutrients you're getting, you're still going to gain a lot of body fat, and over time that's going to be unhealthy. So if you were like to rank the things that you should maybe focus on when it comes to your diet, yeah, one would be the calories. Again, that's not the only thing, but that would be one of the main thing, or the top main thing, in my opinion, you should look at. After that, I would look at your macronutrients, fiber. Well, fiber is not a macronutrient, but I'm gonna throw it in there with it. Protein, carbs, fats, fiber, micronutrients there afterwards. Making sure you get all your vitamins and minerals and fun stuff. If you're doing all those three things, you're probably gonna be okay. The AI overview, that's funny. Moderation is a real word that should be looked up in the dictionary by those that are ignorant. What do you mean by that, Scott? Raw milk is amazing for me? What do you mean for you? Are you just saying that you enjoy the taste of raw milk? Like, how do you determine that raw milk is amazing for you? By what metric? Are you looking at VF5536? And how did you control for all the confounding variables when you did measure that? Meaning, how do you know if you did get healthier that it was the raw milk? Did you control for your calories? Did you control for your exercise? Did you control for your protein intake? Did you control for your sleep? Did you control for your alcohol usage? Did you control for any of those other things when you made the determination that raw milk is amazing for you? Because if not, then you can't really accurately make that determination. And that's why we have studies, guys. Certainly not to say that your personal experience doesn't matter. I don't want to discount people's personal experience. But the reason why we tend to value research is because the point of research is to specifically look at one variable to see if this one variable does a certain thing or not a certain thing, rather than with ourselves, we're never going to be able to properly measure that. You're not going to be able to control for all the variables within your specific lifestyle and diet. Plus, we have inherent bias with ourselves, right? That bias is going to influence our decisions. It's going to influence the outcomes. That's why it's good to have research where it tends or aims to minimize the bias, right? And specifically, if we're looking at randomized controlled trials, which are typically the top tier of research, because they're able to control for as much variables as possible and make it a blinded or preferably even a double-blinded study. My doctor told me he would kill for my blood pressure. Yeah, I think having good blood pressure is great. I'm not sure what that has to do with raw milk, though. Again, it seems like you're trying to conflate two different things that don't seem to have a cause and effect with each other. It seems like what you're doing is that you're saying, hey, I drink raw milk. I have good blood pressure. Therefore, raw milk causes good blood pressure. And I think that's, faulty thinking. It sounds like you just care about your health, and it sounds like you probably just eat healthy overall. Sounds like you probably exercise to some degree. Sounds like you are at a healthy body fat percentage, all of which would help your blood pressure, in spite of the raw milk that you're drinking. Well, there you go. Danielle, in the TikTok comments, has good blood pressure, and she does not drink raw milk. So now we have two conflicting anecdotes. Her blood pressure is good because she doesn't drink raw milk. Your blood pressure is good because you do drink raw milk. We're at a crossroads here. What do we do? How do we come to a determination of if this raw milk is good or not good for us? However, whatever must we do? How are we going to come to this conclusion? My doctor told me I have attained the health and fitness level of a man twice my age. Not bad, must be doing something right. That was a good one. You did make me laugh there. $116 over 60? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's very good. Yeah, no, that's great. I think you're digging, Doug. It wasn't that deep. None will end you, but all can. Well, okay then. Well, okay. I love milk. Listen, guys, I drink plenty of milk myself. Absolutely not anti-milk. Although lately I haven't been drinking much milk. So you're saying saccharin and poison ivy is good to put in your body? Sure, that's exactly what I'm saying, yeah. That's certainly what I said, word for word. Look at the Amish that consume raw milk. They fit like hell. Well, Flap Drolja, you must have not been here when I went on an entire, one can call, rant about that. It sounds like what you did is you repeated something your favorite influencer said, considering what you just said is a copy and paste comment of what somebody said about 30 minutes ago, and a copy and paste comment of what I hear all of you guys say. Almost like you guys just don't use your brain, you just see a comment, it looks good, and you just repeat it. So I'm going to go ahead and go on this rant again, guys, unfortunately, if you heard me before. Prove to me the Amish are fit as hell. Please provide me that evidence. Other than your feelings and vibes, show me evidence that the Amish are fit as hell And more specifically, show me evidence that they are fit as hell specifically because of raw milk that they drink and not because of any other variable. Show me that. Now, here's the real kicker. There is no evidence to show that the Amish are healthier. In fact, when we look at them, there's just not any evidence of that. Just trust them? Yes, I guess I'll have to. Jafla, whatever your name is, I don't know what to tell you, but I want you to provide that evidence. I want you to skip past your vibes and feelings and whatever else influencer that you love to watch that told you that information, because that wasn't an original thought, obviously. That's something that you heard and repeated. So I want you to skip past all of that and just show me the evidence that the Amish are healthy. Not only healthy, but they're healthier compared to the average population. They build houses. Cool. What does that have to do with raw milk? If anything, them being active in, say, building houses and moving around all day may be the reason, if they happen to be healthier, as to why they are healthier. Maybe that might be the reason. I don't know, guys. Maybe being active all day might make somebody healthier. I don't know. Maybe. But no, it must be the raw milk. It must be the raw milk. Liver King. Well, I'm so happy that guy's out of the news. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that the Amish don't have Down syndrome people and the autistic people in the community. No, so they don't go to the doctor nearly as much as the average population does. So it's not that they don't have Down syndrome or autistic people. There's just less diagnoses of them because they're not going to the doctor. But there's no evidence to show that they do have lower rates of autism. But again, if you don't go to the doctor at all, well, then you're never going to get bad news. That's like saying there's this island off the coast of Africa that never has any cancer. They never have any cardiovascular disease, no autism, no this, no that. Well, there's no doctors there. There's no advanced technology there to measure anything. Maybe that might be the reason why you don't see those things. Not because they don't have it, not just because it's not being measured. Yeah, it's easy, and I'm not faulting you here by any means. It's easy to fall for misinformation at times when it comes to like health and fitness based stuff, because the misinformation sometimes sounds good, right? It sometimes sounds real. Sometimes sounds like, oh gosh, maybe that might be true. It sounds like something you'd want to believe. I just think it's important when it comes to any information that you hear from any fitness-based influence or whatever that might be, just question things. That's it. Just question things. Ask questions, right? So somebody makes a claim, for example, red meat raises your testosterone. All right. Show me the research that does that, right? Or aspartame causes cancer. Okay. Sounds reasonable. It's artificial. Artificial things must be bad. Therefore, it must cause cancer. Okay, but show me the research. Just ask questions. Be curious. Jaw Flop, did you ever show me the evidence that the Amish community is healthier than the average population? I may have missed it, but I don't think you showed the research. really does, but good thing we have people like you to help us with things like this. Well, listen, I'm nobody special by any means. There are very good, I think, content creators out there that are very evidence-based. And as I have told you guys before, there's a few things you can spot for as to whether this person is pushing propaganda and misinformation, pseudo claims, etc., versus somebody pushing good, proper information. So a few things you can look at. One, if somebody makes all or nothing claims. If you hear an influencer constantly using all or nothing type of language, probably a red flag. If they make very bold claims about things, probably a red flag. If they use a natural fallacy often, probably a red flag, meaning if they insinuate something is bad strictly because it's man-made or artificial, probably a red flag. Or on the flip side, if they're insinuating something's good because it's in nature, probably a red flag. If they don't get into the nuance of things, that could also be a red flag. Again, meaning if it kind of goes back to those all or nothing claims, right? Somebody who is evidence-based and not trying to push you propaganda, they aren't going to give absolute claims about things always. Because when it comes to science, specifically with health and nutrition, things like that, there very seldomly are absolute claims. Things are a lot more nuanced than that. A lot more nuanced than that. Also, good information, good evidence-based information tends to be a little dry, tends to be a little boring. It's not exciting. There's a reason why misinformation sells, because it sounds and looks exciting. It sells a lot more. It gets a lot more clicks. It gets a lot more views. It gets a lot more comments when you say seed oils cause cancer. Seed oils cause cardiovascular disease. That's going to get somebody's attention. However, if you said seed oils in moderate doses are okay, but when you intake them causing you to have excess calories is part of a, say, otherwise unhealthy diet, then they could be problematic. That sounds that there's a lot more nuance in that, and your average person isn't going to click on that video or click on that article because it's not an all or nothing statement. People want all or nothing statements. That's what your average person wants. They want to hear, is this thing good for me? Is this thing bad for me? When unfortunately, again, things just don't work that way necessarily when it comes to nutrition or health things in general. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, of course, right? Like we're talking about like trans fats, for example. Yeah, that is one of the few things that is, I would say, is an all or nothing type of thing where you should just not have it. Alcohol, I would probably throw into that category as well, although I still think there's some room for balance and nuance there. But still, even some alcohol is certainly worse for you than none. But other than that, and again, there may be a few other exceptions, I don't care if we're talking about sugar. I don't care if we're talking about artificial sweeteners. I don't care if we're talking about protein. Or I don't care if we're talking about water intake. I don't care if we're talking about strength training or whatever. There is a spectrum of things of whether it's good or bad for you or anything in between. And that spectrum of things depends on a wide myriad of things that you also have in your lifestyle. What the fuck, is this a joke? I'm not a comedian personally, so no. Whole foods good, processed food bad. No, even that, again, I think is harmful to push information like that. Well, in general, yes, whole foods tend to be healthier. Processed foods tend to be less healthy, less nutritive dense, less nutrient dense. But even with that, there still is room for nuance. And unfortunately, that type of thinking gets people into that all or nothing mindset where processed food, bad. Therefore, if I have any processed food, I am bad or I am unhealthy. That probably isn't the best mindset to have. Whereas if you had made a statement, Tyler, what would be a better, healthier, more scientifically accurate statement to say that is more balanced and approachable? Whole foods in general are things that we should consume in our diet because whole foods in general tend to be more filling. They tend to be less calorically dense. They tend to be more nutrient dense, which is good for us overall. Processed foods tend to be more calorically dense and less filling, so we should minimize them, but it's okay if you have them in smaller amounts in your diet. And if you enjoy certain foods, it's okay if you implement enjoyable foods in your diet, so long as your overall diet and lifestyle is healthy. That would be a better statement to make. Again, a hell of a lot more boring than what you said. Far less of an absolute statement than what you said, but probably a more approachable statement that one can follow. You do what you want, Cass? You guys all can do what you want. I say if you eat too much of anything, it's unhealthy, but maybe this might be a bold claim. No, I mean, it depends. I'm trying to think of an example here. I don't know. Let's use broccoli, for example. I think we all can agree broccoli is typically a healthier food, right? It's more nutrient dense, it's whole food. Broccoli is a healthier food. I think we all can agree on that. Yeah, if you ate too much broccoli, you would probably put yourself in a position where you're way too full to eat anything else. So you probably wouldn't get enough protein. You may not even get enough dietary fats, which could be harmful for sure. And you may just get far less calories than you need. And you may be missing some micronutrients and minerals. While again, broccoli good, yeah, I guess if you ate too much, theoretically, that could be an issue. In practice, is that going to happen? Probably not, but in theory, sure. Cheetos bad. Well, again, guys, still probably not. Tyler, that was my whole point. I don't know if you were purposely not hearing me or what. Um, it's almost like you're like purposely not listening to anything I'm saying, just so you can continue to say what you want to say. Um, but again, saying Cheetos is bad. Once again, yeah, should you make Cheetos as part of your regular diet? No, but I don't like to label foods as good or bad. And I hate to rant on this again, guys. This is probably my third time ranting on this. I don't think we should label foods as good or bad. I don't think we should be assigning morality to food. Foods don't hold morality. Broccoli cannot be good, nor can it be bad. It just is. It could be more nutrient dense, it could be less nutrient dense. It could be more productive for our diet, it could be less productive for our diet. So going back to the Cheetos claim, yeah, of course, Cheetos is less nutrient dense than foods that we typically would want to have. Thank you, Texas. And they're probably less productive for what our typicals may be. However, if somebody, once again, has a very healthy diet overall, they get enough sleep, they work out, etc., is it the end of the world if they have a small bag of 100 calories of Cheetos a day? No, I think that person is going to be perfectly okay. Again, the poison is in the dose. Is having one Cheeto a day going to affect your health while the rest of your diet and lifestyle is like picture perfect? No, that wouldn't even be noticeable on the scale of anything that you would measure about somebody's health. Whether it's the physical scale that you step on or anything in your blood work, nothing. You wouldn't notice a single tick in any direction of one single Cheeto. What about 2 Cheetos? Probably not. You guys see where I'm going with this, right? There is room in your diet for foods that you enjoy, so long as you can make room in your diet for that, and the rest of your diet is more healthy and nutrient dense, and you work out, etc., etc. I'm not encouraging people to eat Cheetos. I'm not encouraging people to eat whatever of their favorite food is all day. And some people necessarily cannot. There are some people who can't do moderation, by the way, right? And I can't make that decision for you guys. There are some people who, if they have 1 Cheeto, they're having 500, whatever, 100, 200 Cheetos, whatever the case, right? Okay, in that case, don't have it, okay? Although I do suspect that the people that can't practice moderation when it comes to certain foods, I do think that can be changed over time, because I think a lot of that is because of what has been fed to us in society as far as this all or nothing attitude as it comes to diet and nutrition, and this constant stuff that's pushed on us. So I think with a lot of practice over time, a lot of work with oneself, and maybe minimizing social media presence and stuff like that, I think one can probably moderate better with certain foods that they could otherwise not at some point. But that may take practice. But I do think your average person, if they were under the impression or knew that, for example, you can have, a certain food in your diet and be fine overall, I think that person could probably moderate it, okay? Empty calories are not good. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the same rant again. I literally just ranted about this, so I can't really do this necessarily for a fourth time. Yeah. Well, exactly, Daniel, and that's something that we have to balance out, guys. Because listen, on paper, let's say you're doing everything perfect. And there's not a perfect diet, by the way, but for the sake of this, let's say so. Let's say you have the perfect diet. You have the perfect lifestyle, the perfect everything as it relates for health. But it fucks with you mentally. Mental health wise, your mental health is in the toilet. Well, are you healthy? Okay, physically you might be very healthy. Mentally, it sounds like you're doing horrible. Mental health is still health, by the way, and I think that's something that we need to balance out. Okay, I would rather be very content and happy in life and just have moderate physical health, rather than be picture perfect healthy, be ripped, look like a model, and struggle with severe depression 24/7. I would much rather have the former. Much rather. It's not fulfilling necessarily long term to have like a shredded body and to be like picture perfect healthy. I think it's good to be healthy. I think it will make your mental health better often to an extent, but I think striving for perfection with your health or looks that would then lead to struggles with your mental health, I think you're kind of taking steps backwards at that point, really. But I think that's something you have to decide for yourself, really. I can't tell you what your mental health is or isn't. I can't tell you whether your mental health is or is not healthy. But yeah, I mean, listen, if somebody thoroughly enjoys cookies and cream ice cream, right, and whatever sort of foods it might be, and you tell that person they can never have it again, I mean, listen, I think it might be worth it for that person to have a little bit of that if that's their favorite thing ever, just for the sake of their mental health and being happy. Like, I don't think we're here on Earth to be miserable. And trying to be like, again, as picture perfect, healthy as possible. Again, I think it's good to be in shape. I think it's good to be healthy. I think it helps a lot of aspects of our life, but I think it's good to get fulfillment out of life as well. And I'm sorry, I think if you're on your deathbed, I don't think anybody on their deathbed ever is going to say, ever has said, gosh, I wish I added an extra 30 minutes of cardio throughout the day. Man, I wish I had a six pack. Yeah, I don't think there's a single person on their deathbed wishing that they had a six pack and that was the final thing that they wanted. Yeah, I just don't think that's happening. Or, I wish I had big arms. I wish I worked out enough to have a nice butt. I don't think anybody on their deathbed is saying that. I think most people on their deathbed are saying, gosh, I wish I fixed my relationship with my brother. I wish I had a better relationship with my sister or mom, or I wish I wasn't such a POS to my ex-wife, or whatever. I think more people on their deathbed are focused on relationships and those other things that offer a little more fulfillment to life than having a six-pack versus a four-pack. Again, I think striving to be fit is great. I'm a personal trainer. No duh, I want people to be fit. And I think being fit does help our mental health to an extent. I think it's sort of like a U-curve, right? I think if you have shit physical health, you're eating Cheetos all day, we'll use that example. You're eating Cheetos all day, you're laying on the couch all day, you just have the worst diet, you're not moving around at all. Yeah, I think that's going to make your mental health pretty shitty. Not I think, I know it will. So that's on this end of the spectrum, right? So you start eating better, you start getting better, physically and all that stuff. Yeah, your mental health gets better, up to a certain point. And then striving for perfection often can then bring down your mental health. Again, person dependent. I know somebody in the comments is going to say, well, my mental health is fine, and I stepped on a bodybuilding stage. Cool. I think that's great. I'm talking about your average person here. I agree with Doug on being fit too. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know for myself that going to the gym consistently helps my mental health, for sure. I think part of it is that I'm just doing something that I know is good for me. I'm stepping out of the house. I'm not laying in bed. I'm not hyper focused on my phone. I think all of that plays into why it probably helps my mental health. Not to mention physically working out, of course, like biochemically is going to help depression, right? So for me, yes, it helps. But again, I think there's sort of a U-curve associated with it, or an upside down U-curve associated with it. So if I go to gym, say 4 days a week, and that really helps my mental health a lot, is going 5 days a week going to make it even better? Is going 6 going to make it even better? No, at some point, I think it's going to hit a wall, right? I think at some point, doing more in the gym is not necessarily going to improve this or that. I hate to overuse the saying, but I do think, yes, moderation is pretty key for your average person. Of course, if you're competing in bodybuilding or powerlifting or you're an athlete, yeah, you're going to have to go well beyond moderation, for sure. That activity calls for it. You're in a position where you have to go well beyond moderation, where you do have to strive towards near perfection. But we're talking about your average person here. Yeah, their deathbed may have been pushed by a few years because they did do those things. Maybe, Brian, but what is an extra 2 years out of life if you're miserable? I don't know. I would rather live to 70 and live a very fulfilling, happy life than live to like 85 and be a miserable fuck. And I understand it's not either or. I understand you can possibly do both. Yeah, in a perfect world, let's live to 100 and be happy and fulfilled. Sure. I think my overall point that I have stressed a lot at this point, probably way too much, is that doing healthy things for us is great. Working out is great. Getting enough sleep is great. Eating healthy is great. I just think at some point it doesn't necessarily offer as much benefits as it does when you're starting from nothing. Yeah, going from laying on the couch all day to moving around and going to the gym is going to help. Again, at some point, though, you're going to hit a wall. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap up this live, okay? Because speaking of laying in bed, want to lay in bed, okay? I like these small lives. It's kind of nice having them. Appreciate everybody watching. I know that we didn't get much guests today, but that's okay. But if you enjoyed the live on YouTube, go ahead and give me a follow or a subscription, rather. And if you watched on TikTok, give me a follow. Just to let you know, on YouTube, I don't typically do this live often. I generally do like more political stuff. So if you're watching me thinking that I do this type of live often, I don't. I like doing this live, actually, but I almost always do political lives. But anyways, appreciate everybody watching. I hope everybody has a great night. I'll see you guys at some point tomorrow. It may be around noon again, noon Pacific Standard Time. That's when I've been going live the last several days. Again, not planned. It just happened to be that way. So anyways, people on YouTube, take care. Great conversing with you. I'm going to end the stream. Bye. People on YouTube, TikTok, same deal. Take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay?